All right,
All right,
let's talk
let's do
about the
it.
Nets real quick. I'm gonna intro the Nets. Currently 14-6, first in the East, one game ahead of Miami and Washington. 7-3 in their last 10 games, 109.5 points per game, 10th in the NBA. Opponents' points per game, 105.3, also 10th in the NBA. I kind of thought the Nets were a better offensive team, like 10th of 30. I mean, it's not horrible, but I just thought like if you have Harden and Durant, you should probably be like in the top five, but it is what it is. Offensive rating, they're 10th, which is just like 10 all over the place. Defensive rating, they're seventh in the NBA. Yeah, that's just kind of those stats right there. I want to talk about some players, man. Which one do you want to start with? We could either start with Durant or Harden.
I think I go with Durant.
All right, man. So Durant on the year, 28.6 points, 7.6 rebounds, 5.4 assists. He's just doing typical Kevin Durant stuff. Like the dude's super efficient, damn near 55% field goal, over 40% on threes this year, 41.1, 85.4 from the free throw line. Durant's just being super efficient. He's played in every single one besides one game. And like this dude has to be in MVP conversation. I don't think he's better than Curry because the records speak for themselves. But like KD, man, he's just doing typical KD stuff, man.
Yeah, in the last 10, you said what he was doing, what he was shooting.
No, that was just season averages for him.
Yeah, in the last 10, he's shooting 50, 40, 90 with six assists, five rebounds, 28.7 points. But it's just with him, I think there's still a lot. Like he's playing 36 minutes a game, you know? Like I think that's still a lot. I don't know how other people feel about this, but like that's something where it it shows itself, like you don't want him to get hurt. You also don't want him to be like tired, like when they're in that like final, like they didn't even make it to the finals. So if they would have made it to the finals, how much gas would he have still left? You know what I mean? I don't know. The guy might be just like incredible stamina, like amazing dude, but you just don't want him to get hurt. So I don't know if there's any way that they could kind of help him out with that, or if he's just gonna maintain 36 minutes the whole season.
All right, yo, you mentioned help him out. To me, that's a beautiful transition because his co-star, the guy who's supposed to be out there helping him out, I would want to say is James Harden. And when I was doing research today, Harden is super interesting this year, man, because th- he's averaging 20.3 points a game. I don't know if you knew this, but that's his lowest points per game average since his last season in OKC, which was the 2012 season. He was like 17 a game. After that, he's always been higher than what he is this year. He's shooting 6.8 free throws a game this season, also his lowest since his last year in OKC. He's shooting 40.6% from the field, lowest field goal percentage since his rookie season. Those are three pretty bad things, man. His points are down, free throws are down, and he's not being very efficient when he is shooting. He has the 7.9 rebounds and 9.4 assists. That's pretty good, but when you kind of realize that he's also averaging 5 turnovers a game, it kind of makes the 9.4 assists look a little less sexy because one thing I've always heard in my life is 2 to 1 assist to turnover, 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 1. That's not 2 to 1. 9.4 to 5 is not 2 to 1. And in their last game against Phoenix, it was crazy how you said Bridges had 7 steals. Harden had 7 turnovers in that exact same game. So I don't know, man. Harden's just he's interesting right now, bro. Like I don't know what's up. I don't know if he's still just trying to feel things out, like trying to see if he should be more of a distributor or more aggressive scoring points. But it's crazy to say like, oh, 28 and 9 is not good enough. But that's just not what we've seen from Harden lately. And his minutes are a little bit down this year compared to like some of his seasons in Houston. But he'll be like 3 minutes less. But then you look at some of the shit he was doing in Houston with 3 extra minutes. You're like, yo, 3 extra minutes. He's putting up 8 extra points, 2 extra whatever rebounds, assists, hella free throws. He's just interesting, man. I don't know that like I I don't know if it's him. He's out of shape. Like, what do you think, bro? What do you think is wrong with Harden right now?
So I think there might be a stat that kind of helps kind of explain what's going on. So the last game I was watching, like when they were going against the Suns, they mentioned, like even in the broadcast, they mentioned that they're like 7-0 against teams that are under 500. And then teams that are above 500, they're like 7-5 or now like 7-6. So I think they just bring it for these teams that suck and they dominate them. And then when it's like real competition, I don't think they're trying to go out there and put on like their hardest performance. Like that's where I think like Durant can last till like the whole end of the season and all that, because when it's a tough matchup, it doesn't look like it on the floor, but just based off the record, it seems like they're not really like, either they're not good enough or they're not really trying to win those games, and they're just trying to beat up on all the weak teams. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that maybe Harden is doing. Like he just sees a weak team, he dominates that weak team, and then the better teams, he just not really like going that hard. That's like the only thing I could really explain, unless you want to explain like he's out of shape or something. But I don't really know the guy like that. So I hear people talk about that. Like I was watching a podcast once and this UFC fighter mentioned that James Harden was kind of out of shape, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's the case. It's interesting, but I don't know. I don't know if Harden's just like, oh, we're playing stiff competition tonight. I'm just not gonna care. I don't know, man.
The one thing I have noticed is like if you look at all these players on the team, Kevin Durant, games played, like they played 20 games. Games played 19, games started 19. So he missed one game. James Harden, 20 out of 20. Nobody else on the team is 20 out of 20. So he's played every game. Everyone else hasn't. Like they're an older team. Like Lamarcus Aldridge has played 19. Patty Mills has played 20. But like Javon Carter played 20. But those guys aren't like every night putting up like the numbers that he is. Like Lamarcus Aldridge has been really good, like so far for what he's been. And Patty Mills has just like these weird stretches. Like 4 games ago, he was like doing nothing, or like 5 games ago, he was doing nothing. And then he had a 4 game stretch of 20 plus point games and he was on fire. On my fantasy squad, I was pissed because the guy I'm going against picked him up and Patty Mills hit like 12 threes on me in 2 games. So I was like, God damn, dude, like if he could just perform like that all the time, that'd be great. But some of these guys are like very iffy. And then like Joe Harris has been out. So it's just this thing where like Harden and Durant are putting up 30 plus minutes a night, almost every night, and the other guys aren't really there. Like even when Harden had like Chris Paul and they had all those other guys on that team, it seemed like, I don't know if it was just me, man, but like that Houston team would hit a ton of threes, and it seemed like Harden was just passing it to anyone and they were hitting it. But with the Nets, it's like a struggle sometimes.
Yeah, dude. I think Lamarcus Aldridge is their third leading scorer, if I'm not mistaken. I
Yeah.
I had him penciled in, him and Patty Mills as the other two guys I wanted to talk about. Because you're right, Aldridge is having a pretty good year. He's almost a 14 and 6 points and rebounds, 58% field goal. He still has that deadly mid-range jumper that he always had, which pretty much looked automatic. And he's also played in 19 of the 20 Nets games. So he's one of the healthy bodies. He only missed one game, 22 minutes a game. But like when dude, he's 36 years old, I think. And like how much could you really rely on Lamarcus Aldridge? I honestly I think what it boils down to, I think the Nets just need a little more scoring power. Like you said, when Joe Harris comes back, he's a floor spacer. He can hit some threes. Just he couldn't in last year's playoffs, but that's his thing. He can hit threes. But I think the Nets just need I think they need to get a little like they need to get someone in there with some youth and who could score because when I was looking at their roster, bro, they have some old dudes on the team. Like for example, another guy I saw was Paul Millsap. I was like, damn man, Paul Millsap still kicking, bro. He's on the Nets. Blake Griffin, he's old, man. He's '09, and he's had a plethora of injuries. LaMarcus Aldridge, he literally, and I'm not trying to make light of the situation, he literally retired last year, bro, a regular heartbeat. You know what I mean? And he's your third leading scorer this year. So I think the Nets just need some more firepower, bro. It's cool to have Harden and Durant, but everyone was banking on the big three with Kyrie, and Kyrie's nowhere to be found. Who knows? Now they're talking about some new variant of the virus, man. I don't know if you heard of that, but we know
Yeah.
Kyrie's super anti-vax. And I'm not gonna share my stance on that because I don't want to get all political and whatnot, but it is what it is. Who knows if we'll see him this year, man. I mean,
Yo,
you got
they
anything
definitely
on
need him. They definitely need
definitely.
Kyrie.
Yeah, definitely, man. But it doesn't
Yeah.
look like they're gonna get him, bro. Unless New York just like does a complete 180 on what they were saying about the mandates and stuff. But I mean, you got anything
Or
else on Aldridge
or
before
they
we move?
trade him. No, nothing on Aldridge, man. He's a good guy. He's posted up some good numbers, and yeah, it's something that is welcome. Like they definitely needed like a big man to kind of complement like the big three, like Durant, Harden, and Kyrie if he was playing.
Hmm.
But like Blake Griffin's really good too, but
He's been injured.
he's been injured. Yeah,
Claxton's
so
been injured too.
yeah, I don't know. They're all. It's tough, man. Like I some of these injuries, like I have seen some right where like a guy sits out and then you saw him go off the night before and then they say, "Oh, he's got like a knee problem," and then you're like, "Is this the new NBA where they're like, he's got a knee problem, just believe us. It's not that like, it's not like we're trying to like, we're not trying to like give him a rest day, but they are." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like sometimes they just are. They're just trying to figure it out because I think that was a big problem before where they were like, "Yeah, it's he's just got a back problem," and they would sit him out like every random game with a back problem, and then the NBA was like, "Wait, man, like you can't just be resting this dude, you know?" But yeah, the rest of the team is doing pretty good.
Yo, can we talk about Patty Mills real quick? Because you were super pro Patty Mills in the offseason, and I have to give you your kudos, man. Patty Mills looks real good this year for the Nets.
Definitely, man. Yeah, I like him. I like him, but for some reason, um, he turned it up like in the last 4 or 5 games. But even then, he still has like pretty solid numbers. But yeah, you could. What's your take on him?
Dude, 12.3 points a game. That's career high in points. And he's doing it in 28 minutes a game, which is also a career high. I guess the Nets just, they need some bodies, bro. Like people are dropping like flies, man. All the names we mentioned, they're relying on Patty Mills, but he's playing good. That's not to say like, oh man, the Nets, oh man, they're just void of talent, like super, super, super. Because Patty Mills, man, 12.3 points, 46.5 field goal percentage. Dude shooting, I don't know if it's exactly 50 or like slightly over, but about 50% from threes, man, on 6.4 attempts a game. The dude's hitting over three threes a night. He's played in all 20 games, career high in 3 point percentage, career high in threes a game. Like, I mean, I know it's not a superstar or anything like that. It's obviously not Kyrie Irving, but could you imagine if they didn't have Patty Mills, man? Like, they might look a lot worse because this dude has been playing really good.
Yeah, and you know, like the big thing was Spencer Dinwiddie, so they lost him, so they had to replace somebody with him. Patty Mills is doing okay. He's doing a pretty good job. So like you lose some, you win some. Like they also have like you gotta be mindful of the salary. So obviously Spencer Dinwiddie, he wanted his money. So what can you do? You gotta go with Patty Mills, and he's doing good, man. Like I said, he drained some threes on my fantasy team. I was pissed that I didn't pick him up myself, but that's how the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, man. Hopefully he can keep up this hop, this hot shooting. Because yeah, like we said, man, we don't know when the Nets will get Kyrie, man. But last thing on the Nets, man. Next 5 games, they got the Knicks, Timberwolves, Bulls, Mavericks, and Rockets. Pretty much all those games look like they could win them. We got Houston. I think they're literally the worst team in the NBA. The Mavs, you never know with the Mavs. Like the Mavs have some nights where it looks like they're just flat. And then some nights they look like they could win the title. Mavericks are so confusing. The Bulls are slumping right now. They're making me look bad because I was like super pro Bulls and they're kind of slumping. Wolves are the Wolves, and then the Knicks are, they're like what, eighth in the East or something. Like they could win all 5 of these, man. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. The only thing is like from that stat that I told you, the teams that are above 500, they struggle against compared to the teams below 500, they just destroy. Um, so like the Knicks, they're above 500. Um, Minnesota, that's right at 500. Chicago above 500. Dallas above 500. Houston below. So they could win them all, man, but just based off the stats, they might go 500. They might just win half of these games or like 3 out of 2 and then just keep rolling after that.
I think if
So,
they want to start picking up some like real momentum, because it's crazy, bro. They're 14-6. I'm here talking like they're a 500 team. They're 14-6 despite quite a few negative things I've mentioned about them in this portion. But yeah, I think if they really want to like get a hot streak going on, they should probably go 4-1, if not try to go clean 5-0 these next 5 because they could literally win all of them, in my opinion. And if they lose against these teams who are over 500, like you said, then at that point it's like, damn, we might have a real problem, man. That might just be how they're playing against the tough competition. They just don't show up. But it's interesting, man, to
no,
see.
no, but I remember I was telling you in the beginning of the season that I was actually disappointed in the way they were playing. Like there was a point in the season, they were 6-3. They had just beaten Detroit. And I told you, I was like, dude, like you see like the Warriors, they're like 7-0 or something, or like 9-0, something like that. And I was like, man, why are the Nets like it was so early on, and I was like, man, it seems like the Nets aren't doing so good. But then they went on a little bit of a hot streak. They won 7 out of 8, and then they really like pushed their record to be like top of the East. Because at one point they were like middle of the pack. They were like fourth, fifth seed, and I was like, why are they so low, man? But yeah, they're number one in the East for a reason. You know, like it's not like it's a fluke. Like they are probably the best team in the East. And if they get Kyrie, they're like definitely the best team in the East.
Yeah,
But
I just need to see a little more from Harden, man. I don't know. Maybe we're spoiled by what
but
Harden's done recently.
but yeah, that's crazy, man. Because like if we see a little bit more, they might start pushing their lead. You know, they might get instead of one game back, like one game ahead of the Miami Heat, they might push it to 3 or 4. So that's hopefully what happens, man. And then like, look, I'm one of the guys. I love Kyrie. If he comes back, I'd be very happy about it. But at some point, they gotta decide, like, yo, are we trading him or not? But then there's a problem with Durant. Like, I don't know if Durant's gonna like that. So they're in like probably the toughest spot in the NBA. So, like, as a franchise, like to decide what you're gonna do with your players. Like, obviously the Ben Simmons thing, like, that's a big problem too. But with Ben Simmons, it's pretty clear. It's like, yo, just trade him. Like, that's it. Like, the guy doesn't want to play for you, just trade him. But with Kyrie, it's like he wants to play, and Durant is cool with him, and you don't want Durant to be angry. So you can't really trade him, but you do need something to help your team. So they're in just like a really bad situation. It's not clear. Like in this situation with the Sixers, it's pretty clear. Just trade him, dude. Like that's it. But that's all I got.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It looks like there's just so much ifs and like uncertainty around the Nets, but despite it all, 14-6. So